G'day guys, welcome to episode 47 of Beyond the Finish Line podcast, the podcast for runners of every pace, every distance and every goal. My name is Matt, aka Coach Matt. I'm a 5-time Ironman and an ultramarathon runner. Today's episode is all about how to get fast at the 10K. It is part 2 of our How to Get Fast series. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to the other half of this podcast. She's a content creator. She is a 5-time marathon runner. I always forget how many times she has run a marathon because she's actually a faster marathon runner than me. Georgia, how you doing, mate?
I am so good. And yes, guys, I am the fastest marathon runner on this podcast, and I'm going to milk that till the day I can't milk that.
Yeah. Sometime to 2026, I need to get my title back.
And hey, guys, guess what? I didn't fuck up the intro today. Matt fucked up the intro.
And to be fair, even my redo of the intro wasn't fantastic. So, guys, I apologize. We're going to let Georgia have the best intro and the fastest marathon runner for a short period of time.
Look, it's few and far.
Few and far. But, Georgia, I'm coming in hot because I was distracted because I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh.
Something I'm not happy about, something that I might be in the minority of, but I feel like I need to voice my disgust.
Oh dear. Come on, hit me. What do you got?
So, I live like semi-rurally. We don't have access to the wide variety of snacks, treats, delicacies that you guys get in the city.
Okay.
Something that has made its way to our local Coles is the Percy pig.
Yes.
I had my first Percy pig.
Okay. What?
I am
What do you mean?
wildly disappointed.
You lived in the UK. How did you
Never
not
had
eat
one.
a Percy pig?
Never
Really?
had one. No. And
Okay.
I'm wildly disappointed.
Did you have regular Percy's or reversey Percy's?
But number one, I didn't know reversey Percy was a thing, and that's just a whole different conversation. It was just a regular Percy.
Okay. And you didn't like them?
It was just like a lolly. Like I didn't think it was particularly good. It was just a lolly.
Do you know what the funniest thing is?
Do you know what it tastes like? It tastes like a strawberries and cream to me.
Okay, I can see that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really know what the flavour profile of
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Percy pig is.
I was expecting something, and because you'd put it on such a high bar, and then I saw the social media hype behind, like when they finally came out, and
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Georgia, they're here," and I was like, "Oh, it's just a lolly."
It's a lolly. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're expecting. But
I don't know. It's like when
I
someone says
did.
this movie's fantastic, and you go and see it, and you're like, "It's all right."
It was,
That's what I was like.
Yeah, look, the Percy's, I actually haven't been able to get my hands on them. So consider yourself lucky that being rural, you actually get to have them, because every time I've been to Coles, they're sold out here. So impossible to get my hands on anyway.
Yeah, so I don't understand why are they so popular. They're just a lolly.
I think a lot of it is like we've got so many backpackers and expats and stuff here. So like they're all getting them. But I don't know, they're just yummy. I guess I just ate them a lot when I was over there. But controversial, because obviously I love Percy pigs, and I could only ever get the Percy knockoffs at Aldi, which I actually still have a packet of here. But I actually prefer the fizzy pigtails more. But everyone was like, "Oh my God, Georgia, the Percys are here." And constantly on my socials, people were sending me stuff, which I love. Like, thank you for thinking of me. But guys, if you want to get me anything for Christmas, I want fizzy pigtails. They're better.
Is that part of the Percy family?
Yes, part of the Percy family. So
Right.
you've got Percy pig family and then Colin the caterpillar family. But Colin the caterpillar is
Who the
cake.
fuck's Colin the caterpillar? Where did this come from?
It's a cake in the UK and at M&S. It's like a birthday cake that you could get. And
Right.
it's shaped like a caterpillar. So they turned it into a lolly. It's like a whole thing. Anyway, I prefer the fizzy pigtails because they're sour and they're really, really good. So,
Right, then what's the reverse? I thought the reversey Percy was sour. What's the reversey Percy?
No, the reversey Percy is like a regular Percy pig. This is such weird chat for the podcast. The regular Percy pig is like all the squishy pink stuff, and then the nose is like jelly, the red jelly. But the reversey Percy is all the red jelly with a little bit
Right.
of the squishy. It's just the reverse.
Right, makes sense. It's in the name.
Anyway, guys, if you want to get Matt onto some fizzy pigtails, we'll
Nah,
both
I'm not
accept
vibing.
them. We'll set up a PO box so you can send them.
Send them to Georgia. I don't want them.
So good. But yeah, guys, I just want to apologize that I sound a bit funny today. I'm not feeling 100%. I've been absolutely knocked for six.
Should have heard it
cold.
yesterday, guys. We had to just abort the episode. It was not an option. You couldn't tell the difference between me and her.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm like, so sorry, man. I'm so unwell right now. So yes, he obviously did give me today off too if I wanted, but I was like, nah, we got to get the episode to the people. So here I am battling through.
We haven't missed a Wednesday all year.
No.
Or maybe one.
Maybe one when I was away. I don't know. Anyway, I'm feeling okay. It's been a week. So I'm going to jump into my highs and lows because you haven't asked me and I'm going to ask myself.
Well, I had to get the Percy pig off my chest. It was weighing me down.
I feel good that
I've been sitting on it for a few days.
Like, I'm going to save this for the podcast.
I was going to because I was just so disappointed.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to get you some fizzy pigtails to make up for it.
Please don't.
What's your favourite lolly?
I don't really eat lollies.
Okay.
I eat snakes for training.
Yeah, but like, don't you get sick of that? Like, you wouldn't go and buy a bag of snakes to.
Yeah, no, I would never, like, if we were watching a movie, like, get a bag of lollies.
Oh. So disappointing.
I prefer chocolate. I like dark chocolate.
Oh yeah.
That's about it.
Do you know what I have recently fallen back in? Like, this is so random. So I went to the movies recently and got sour Skittles. And do you remember? Have you ever had sour Skittles?
Yeah.
Like coated in the sugar and sour stuff, like citric acid. I got them the other day and there's no sugar, and I was like, oh my god, this packet is wrong. But they've just changed them completely. They're not even coated in the sour stuff anymore. They're just like mildly sour. But anyway,
that's disappointing.
It is disappointing, but I'm like super addicted to those at the moment.
Okay.
Anyway, highs and lows of the week. Highs is, to be honest, there aren't really any highs this week. I've had a rubbish week. I've had a cold. I've been so exhausted. It's been a huge week at work. But I had a lovely weekend with some friends, which was awesome. So actually that is a high, which I really enjoyed that, hanging out with some friends. We did like a friends mess every year that we go away. So that was really nice. And then, the lows is just I've not been feeling great. Haven't been doing much of my training. I'm really just trying to look after my body at the moment, getting some blood tests and stuff like that just to check on iron levels and things like that. But other than that, having a cold, being exhausted, I'm very happy to be here chatting with you.
That sounds it, yeah. It's really coming across, yeah.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying my best. How are you, Matt? Tell us your highs and lows of the week. How are you feeling?
I'll start with lows. Lows is I'm really fucking tired right now. I am ready for the end of the year.
Yeah.
We've been working really, really hard with the TPP and coming off the back of COSI and whatnot, like definitely took a toll mentally. So, just a bit flat and just like trying to work through it, which obviously makes things worse, but sort of rock in a hard place. In terms of lows, that's that. But in terms of highs, I actually have a really special one this week. We just had Ironman Western Australia on the weekend, and we had two athletes racing. One was Chris. He went out and did his first Ironman, which was unreal, and finished it. But my highest of highs, probably up there with you running sub 4, Georgia. It was like one of my proudest moments is we had Toby. Toby did his second Ironman, and I've coached him since his very, very first triathlon. He went out and did it in under 9 hours and won the 18 to 24 age group championship and secured a spot to go to Kona all in the same race. So
absolutely incredible. It was so cool to watch that. I was on Sunday afternoon, I was with a few TPP athletes and we were all tracking him and like getting all excited. It's like, oh my God, he's going to come in under 9 hours. So yeah, you must be so incredibly proud. That was absolutely phenomenal by him to, not only get such a great time, but also like to go get an invite to Kona is so cool.
Yeah, it was just and I've said from day dot with Toby, he's just got a bit of magic. Like he's just got it. He'll probably go pro one day. Like he's that sort of athlete, like far, far better than I'll ever be. But in terms of such a young athlete being able to execute on a game plan from start to finish was just like all of his splits were perfect, down to the second, down to the watt of on the bike. Like everything was exactly as we forecasted. He stuck to the plan and like he got the result he deserved. So it was almost very similar to you, Georgia, where like Gold Coast Marathon, you went out like a bloody stabbed rat and paid the price. Toby has definitely done that in previous races. And then like when he just listened and was mature about it and followed the plan and executed, he got the result he deserved. So, yeah, it was just like a very, very special moment.
Yeah, it's you know, a good way to see that you have to learn some mistakes at the start.
Oh, you got to go through them, yeah.
Yeah, to then understand, okay, if I actually stick to the plan and follow through on it, it'll pay off. And so that's so cool. It must be so rewarding as a coach to see even your training plan come through and, you know, work how it was supposed to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird when you start coaching athletes like Toby who are like really, like their goal is to be a professional athlete. Like that's where he wants to get to. And it's like, that's a lot of pressure on me. And it's like, I've never coached a professional athlete before. Like a lot of it is like me just doing math. I'm like, if we do this, it should work. And then there's an element of like, I don't know. And then when it works, you're like, okay, like it gives me confidence as well that like, I do know what I'm doing at that level. So, getting him to go pro is like our next big goal. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool experience to go through.
Cool. Yeah. And I think, look, you know, when maybe it is that you're like, that's how your brain works. And so you are a wonderful coach because you think about the numbers and the analytics and that kind of stuff. And you don't get caught in the emotional side of things. You're just like, well, if he hits X, Y, Z, then he'll get it. So I think that's what makes you such an amazing coach. So I think it's great. It only shows the proof is in the pudding that you actually can coach people at high levels, and it's only going to get better from here. So exciting. Yeah,
I guess also, like you said, like learning lessons. Like if I made a mistake as a coach, like, okay, like I need to see that, I need to correct that, and then like go again. So there's no different for me in terms of that, like what we spoke about for you with Gold Coast or Toby with his first couple of races. So, and I guess that's like the only way. I think I forget that it's the only way I'm going to get to that level is like by going through it. Like even professional athletes need to learn when they go to coaching, they need to learn how to coach. Like I think people think professional athletes, because they have been a pro, then instantly become a good coach. But more often than not, it's the athletes who didn't make it become like good coaches for whatever reason.
You learnt all the hard stuff instead of just getting straight to all the good stuff. You kind of know what makes an athlete tick and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think also with the pros, like they're very, very, they know what works for them, and like they know this method works, and like not that method doesn't always work for all athletes. So I feel like that's like a really big learning curve, is they've got to learn all the different ways that an athlete can respond and things like that. But anyway, that was my high. That was a really, really good high. So that was good.
Cool. And even just to have an athlete finish their first Ironman, like what a special experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's been really cool on socials to see, I don't know, my algorithm's just on Ironman at the moment. And so I'm seeing everyone running down and like ringing the bell and I'm getting all emotional and I'm like, oh my God, these people I don't even know, like good on you.
Yeah. I mean, Ironman will always be my baby within the performance project. Like, we coach, I don't know, maybe 80 or 90% runners, but whenever someone's like, just did you say triathlon? I'm like, come to me, come over here, come. Like we're gonna get you there. Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah, you're home now. Like that's how I treat it, and I'm
like
just
pats on the top of the head.
Yeah, I'm just like, we're gonna get you to that Ironman. It's like, I know you said sprint, I heard Ironman, so let's go.
That's me. Oh, I don't know, man. I saw some of these people and I'm like, oh, I still don't know if I could do it. Like, it looks like a lot. I did see that one.
It's definitely a lot. Like, let's not get that confused.
Yeah. Like, that lady that finished, she was the last person to cross the finish line. Like, so inspiring. But 17 hours, I was like, oh, it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't take you 17 hours.
I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
we've still got the sprint triathlon on the horizon, and I'm loving seeing everyone's messages that they send me. And they're like, hey, I just started listening to the podcast absolutely loving it. But it's also so funny to watch you progress and being like, I'm not doing a triathlon. I might do a triathlon. I might sign up to a triathlon. I'm doing one. So if you are a first-time listener and you've come this far, I'm sorry that I said I wouldn't do it, because here I am saying I'm going to do one. So,
also, if you're thinking about doing a triathlon, performanceproject.com.au, Performance Project on Instagram, hit me up, come talk to me, because I want some more triathletes. Come work with me. We're going to have some fun. Swim, bike, run.
Know, like if you want someone to talk to about first-time triathlons and like it's a bit scary, I know, come talk to me, and then I will point you in the direction of Matt. So I'll be like, yeah, it's great, go to Matt.
Yeah, it is great.
It is great. Well, look, hopefully I get to that start line. See how I go with these energy levels. But yeah, look, today we're going to chat about getting faster. And on our last episode, we spoke about, you know, how to generally get faster. And then you spoke about a 5K, you know, start to finish, how to get faster. Today, we're going to talk about 10K. So do you want to kick things off, Matt? Where are people starting? What are we doing to get to a better 10K time?
Yeah, okay. So I think that the biggest thing that people make a mistake from when going from 5 to 10K is they think, like, I will just forecast out that time, like 5 to 10K. When we start tapping into, and it depends on the speed of runner you are, but generally speaking, unless you're an elite runner, we start going from like a VO2 sort of effort, and we start dialing down to more of a threshold effort. So threshold is theoretically the longest or the most effort you could produce for an hour, whether that's the fastest pace, the most power on the bike, the fastest you could swim, whatever. So we're dialing down the effort a little bit, but we want to make the intervals longer, so it's a more sustained effort. It's this weird little spot in between 5K and half marathon, so that's where we're trying to land. So like the top of zone 4, mid to top zone 4.
Okay. And so just run us through really quickly the zones, because you've just spoken about threshold, and if anyone's coming who are new to the pod, this might be a little bit confusing, especially when you're going to go through different paces and zones and things in the next, 10, 20 minutes. Can you just quickly refresh everyone's memories on what each of those are?
Yep. So zone 1 is just, technically this is zone 0, but just for simplicity, zone 1 is just us sitting here right now, just hanging out. That's just where you spend most of your time. Zone 2 is where you're I don't want to get into this too much. Zone 2 is a light to moderate effort. Technically, it's when your body starts producing lactate, so lactic acid, when you're over 2 millimole. But let's just call it a light effort. And then zone 3 is obviously that's the middle zone. That's where we'd spend like a lot of our marathon time. That's normally the zone where the majority of people who haven't done zone training before sit. Let's call it kind of this gray area where it's not easy and it's not hard. Zone 4 is where things are starting to get quite hard. It's sort of like I said, that 10K sort of effort. Threshold, sort of the pace you could hold for about an hour, give or take, depending on how well trained you are. And then zone 5 is like VO2, all out max, like you can only be there for a very, very limited time. That's where we go over threshold. So threshold is sort of the wall that stops lactate. Once the lactate spills over that wall, you've only got a very, very limited time before your body fills with lactic acid and you need to rest. So that's zones 1 through 5.
Awesome. It's just super helpful, like especially when you're going to be talking about threshold and things like that, people are refreshed on what it is you're actually talking about.
Yeah. We do some episodes where we do full deep dives and stuff in them, guys. Like there's a whole episode just on training zones. There is the definitions episode. Like we cover it in quite a few. So if you want a more in-depth sort of listen, go back, listen, and then come back to this episode.
Pause this, listen to that, come back.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So just to remind everyone, if you're obviously training for a faster 10K, you should have definitely run a 10K by now. So at what point would you realize, okay, maybe I need to start being faster, or maybe I want to start getting faster at a 10K? Is a 10K kind of an easy thing for you to do at this point, or could it still be a little bit hard for you? Is there like a limit or?
I would say, not, to answer your first question, like, yes, you should absolutely, your first 10K should not be like, I'm going out to run it as fast as I can. It should be like,
Yeah.
go run your 10K and like feel confident at that distance. Same as what we said with the 5K. Even running a few of them, not necessarily races, but just going out running 10 or 12 kilometers, just so you're comfortable knowing what that distance feels like. Really, really helpful. And then in terms of how hard it should feel, I would argue that is all based on relative effort. So I just ran 100 Ks on the weekend, well, 2 weekends ago. I could go out and run a 5K that feels harder than that in terms of perceived effort. So I'd say it all comes down to how hard you want to push yourself. So anytime you're pushing the limit, like, it should feel pretty much as hard as you can tolerate.
Okay, cool. So where do we start? Like, if I'm comfortable running 10, 12, 13, 14 Ks, whatever, and I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, there's a 10K race coming up in, say, 12 weeks, 14, 16, however many weeks away. I want to go out and get a really solid PB. Where am I starting? How do I know where to start? What do I do next? Because I would be lost to know what to do. So obviously I'm lucky enough that I have you, but if I didn't have you, where would I start with this?
You mean outside of reaching out to the performanceproject.com.au?
Shut up.
Cool. So if you go back to listen to episode 1, we tell you like how to do your 30-minute fitness test, how to set up your zones, do all of that. So let's just assume that people have done that. And maybe they've even done our 5K training block. I'd say that'd be like a really, really good spot to start.
Yeah.
Because what we've done there is we've done some zone 2 training, but we've also done some VO2 training. So we've really pushed that top end pace up, which has enabled us, when we dial it down just a little bit, that threshold pace is still nice and quick. From there, we need to start thinking about how do we lengthen the interval and how do we reduce the rest time? Because when we finished the 5K block, we had done 5 by 1K with anywhere from a 30 to 60 second rest. Obviously, 5 by 1K, if you've just repeated that out to 10K, 10 by 1K is very, very different to 10K unbroken. So what we want to do is start extending the interval and extending the overall volume of the session through and shortening the rest. So the first one I would do is going to like 3 by 2K. So we've gone from, and guys, like I said, this will play on from last week's episode. So 5 by 1K, total training volume, 5Ks, 3 by 2K, total training volume, 6Ks. So we've doubled the interval length, but we've also shortened the amount of intervals, and you could probably keep your rest time about the same.
Yeah.
From there, we just want to extend that out. So now we want to go to 7K. So Georgia, do you reckon you can do the math on what would be next?
I'm just, 7 is such a weird number. Why 7? 2 or 6?
You could do 7, you could do 8.
Would you do 2.5K?
You could do 2.5K, yeah.
Because I was just thinking you just start to then go like 3 by 3K, but that's way too far.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
See,
So
guys, this is why I have a coach, because I can't work this shit out.
Yeah. So you generally have like 2 options. One, you can increase the number of intervals and shorten the interval length a little bit. So you could probably drop down to a mile if you wanted to, and like do 4 by a mile, which is that's 7.2 kilometers. Or you can keep it at 3 and go to 2.2, 2.4, 2.5, something like that. So personally, if you are, there's kind of 2 different paths you can go, and this is where I guess a little bit of nuance comes in, would be like, if you're an experienced runner, I'm focusing probably on a slightly shorter interval length, because I know I know running the distance for you isn't really the issue. So I'd probably go down like 4 by a mile. If you were a newer runner and we really just focus on getting some volume in your legs,
Yeah.
I'd probably go down a slightly longer interval route. So that might look like 3 by 2.5, which would bring us like 7.5 Ks of volume.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, the 3 by 2.5.
Yeah. And then it just sort of extends out from there. So for our really like top end runners, like people who really want to go out and set a really fast time, so you go 4 from a mile, you could then go back down to, you go to 4 by 2K, excuse me, and then then you'd go to George's 3 by 3K, and then I would do like 5 by 2K, and then once I'm at that 10K volume, I would just start shortening the amount of intervals. So 5 by 2K into 4 by 2.5 into 3 by 3.5, which is a little bit further, 2 by 5K, maybe then maybe like a 6 and a 4 or a 7 and a 3, and then I would do like your 10K all out.
Yeah, and at least the best thing about being a kind of semi-beginner runner, and even if you're not, there's always gains to make. So,
there are training blocks, like the Where Are You At series that I've given you. I give them to an athlete like Toby all the time. And every time he goes through it, he gets faster. Just because like there are some systems that just work, like regardless of if you are Usain Bolt or you are someone off the street who's never run before. Like the math just maths.
It does. I like those Where Are You At kind of sessions and weeks where, it's kind of checking in and working out, all right, where's things, how do we feel, where else can we make some improvements? But yeah, it's super exciting when you're starting to work out what you want to do for PBs and stuff like that, and you can really play around with your training. What would a week look like if you're wanting to do these kinds of interval sessions to get faster at 10K? What would maybe a typical week look like in a training block for this?
So you could run 3 or 4 times per week, just depending on where you're at. Beginner runners 3, experienced runners 4 or even 5. I'm a big fan of the 4. I think 4 really gives you the most bang for your buck in terms of being able to get a quality session in, but also get recovery. If you're a beginner runner and 4 is too much, 3 is, you'll still, as a beginner, you'll just get newbie gains. So 3's heaps. I'm always 1 easy run, which is anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. Normally start the week with that. Never miss a Monday. 1 long run, which dependent on distance. For the 10K, I'd probably go anywhere up to 15 kilometers.
Yeah,
again, depending on experience level. If you are a newer runner and like 12 is sort of your max that you've ran, I'd be like, cool, let's start at 8. And then sort of when you're at that week 10 or 12 of the training block, you're sort of hitting that 15. But obviously the more volume you can get in your legs, the better. And then really like I'd pick 1 key session to do, and I'd be like, that's my, like, I am all locked in. It's going to be as hard as I can make it. And that's where I would do like my 3 by 2K or whatever it might be, 3 by 3K, etc. And then I would have an optional session which you could potentially rotate, which would be you could rotate between a tempo or easy run and like a VO2 session. So I wouldn't recommend for beginner runners doing 2 hard sessions back to back.
Yeah,
so
a lot.
Yeah, it is for sure. And like when you were talking about sitting at threshold and VO2, soft tissue injuries, like very, very prominent. So I would say just do 1 really hard session, and then your second session in the midweek would be either a tempo session, which is slightly lower than 10K pace. It's at zone 3, or you could just sub it out for a 30 to 60 minute easy run. Or as cross training, get on cycle, you could get on the elliptical, you could go swim, any of those things.
Yeah, I always found like doing my harder sessions on like a Wednesday was always really good because it's kind of like it's not a Monday where you're feeling really exhausted and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. But then it's not a Friday where you've had a week of training and like going to the gym and doing different things. Yeah. So I always found like a Wednesday is a sweet spot where you can like really give it everything you've got. Sometimes the Friday sessions were always a bit brutal because I'm like, I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think balancing training is super important in terms of like where sessions sit in the week. Like you wouldn't do it on a Monday if you've done your long run on a Sunday because like you just, like I said, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're not firing on all cylinders. Asking your body to perform in that situation isn't good. But then on the counter side of that is like running, say, on the Friday, after you have had maybe 2 or 3 good sessions and a full week of work and gym sessions, etc. It's not the end of the world to do like, probably not a VO2 session, but like a moderately hard session, just learning to perform while tired, learning to perform like while you're not 100% optimal, but you're also the type of session isn't pushing you to that absolute max. It's just like just a little bit less. So like the chance of injury drops pretty significantly. So I think there is definitely, and I guess this is all things that we think about as coaches, but it's balancing a training week is like, it's an art form for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
All right, guys, I apologize. We had a small technical error. We lost about 11 minutes of the recording. So we're just going to jump into listener questions, and we will, if you have any questions about the 10K, just shoot us a message. I will answer them for you. I'll send you any info that you need. But Georgia is going to give us listener questions.
Cool. So we have a question here from Ben. It says, how many runs a week do you actually need to do to get better? I'm doing 3 at the moment, but not sure if that's enough. Now, I know, Ben, we did just slightly answer this in the first half of the episode, but that's okay. Matt, what would you suggest if you're wanting to get better? Better maybe meaning stronger, faster, not necessarily at a 10K. This could be for any distance, and I know there's a lot of nuance there, which you love.
Yeah.
So let's maybe just say for a beginner, for an intermediate, and for someone who is wanting to get a lot stronger at longer distances.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of minimal effective dose, and it's something that a lot of my athletes, I really struggle when they come to me because they're like, I'm used to running 5 days a week. I'm like, well, we're going to run 3. Or I'm used to running 7, and I'm like, we're going to run 4. So a lot of the time, people do what's called like garbage miles, where they're not running easy, they're not running hard, and they're not really following any sort of progression in terms of volume. So yes, you are running, and yes, you will get better just by running, but like it's a very, very slow progression. So what I like to do is beginner runners 3, intermediate to advanced runners 4, and but cool, like let's just follow a really, really structured program for this next 8, 10, 12 weeks, and let's monitor your progress. If you are not making progress off 3, we'll go to 4. If you're not making progress off 4, we can go to 5, or we can change the stimulus. More often than not, you can make a lot of progress off running 3 times a week. Like even some, like I said, I just run 100 Ks. I could go back to running 3 days a week at the moment and be running. I guarantee I would make progress at either endurance or speed, depending on what I wanted to focus on. So the answer is try and do the least amount of running possible where you still see progress.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you also want to test to make sure, like, if you jump to 4 days and then you're absolutely wrecked, like, you also need to make sure that you're not burning out from running, 4 or even 5 days. 5 days, you might be like, oh my gosh, I can't even get through my sessions properly. You want to make sure that you are nailing your sessions and, you're getting through your zone 2 runs at a zone 2 pace. You're getting through your interval sessions where you're not just doing 2 or 3 of them and then the rest of them you're just like, oh, whatever. So I think it's a bit of trial and error as well,
For sure.
Yeah, like you said, you want to make sure that you are seeing progress. And if you're seeing a bunch of progress and you're feeling good, then amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not seeing any, then that's when you obviously know.
Yeah, and I guess the next sort of level of that is you got to let progress happen. It's not going to happen in a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Like give it 2 to 3 months of doing one thing, and that's really, really hard for people because they just sort of look at the shiny object and chase something new, or hear about a new training program on Instagram or whatever, and go and do that, and they don't give themselves the time to actually get better at something. And the second part, just to what you said, Georgia, is if you're really tired, really sore, struggling to hit paces, all those things, that's a sign that like it is too much or that you're not adapting. And that doesn't necessarily mean too much running. If you're doing strength training or doing other sports as well, like they could be also taking away from your running. But like if you're not going into your runs being like, yep, like I feel pretty good and feel confident I can do this session, then you might also have to look at your training volume as well.
Yeah, and just touching on kind of what you had mentioned with, just making sure that, you don't always get gains straight away. It can be really hard, especially if you're a beginner runner and now you're kind of moving more into that intermediate stage. You're probably used to being beginner runner and having so many like newbie gains as well, and it can be hard then becoming someone who's a bit more seasoned at running and you're like, I'm not seeing those gains as much. So you're then going, why aren't I making progress? And that can be really hard to adjust to. So I think just setting the expectation, like Matt said, that, you're not going to make a ton of progress really quickly. And I also think it's important for people to really check back in with themselves as well and go, okay, am I being a little bit unrealistic in trying to see gains really quickly?
Yeah, and I can think of a perfect example that actually happened this last week. One of my athletes, Jordan, came to me and she was like, I don't feel like I've made the progress that I thought I would. Like, I feel like I'm not progressing. I was like, okay, interesting. Like, what does progress mean to you? And she sort of listed that I thought my zone 2 pace would feel easier and I'd be a little bit quicker. And she's training for a half marathon and she thought I thought half marathon would feel easier, like the paces. And I was like, okay, well, let's have a look at this. And I went back, I think we're sort of 8 or 9 weeks off the top of my head into this block. And we're about 8 weeks out from this race. And I went back and was like, cool. So your first week, and I'll just use arbitrary numbers, your heart rate was 145 and your pace was 610 and you could hold that for 30 minutes. That was like your zone 2 run. Now we're at week 7 or 8, whatever we're at. I'm like, your pace hasn't changed, your heart rate hasn't changed, but you can hold it for an hour. So you could make the argument your fitness has doubled in zone 2. And she was like, oh, like that's a really interesting way at looking at it. Cause like I didn't think to process it that way. I was just looking at the heart rate and pace. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, well, duration and endurance is a massive part of endurance training. The time you can do something. So you can run twice as long for the same effort that you could before. So I'd say that's a massive bit of progress. And in terms of like pacing, she was like, oh, I thought the half marathon pace would feel easier. I'm like, well, you just did 5 by 2K at above half marathon pace and you hit it perfectly the whole way through. So you can run half of a half marathon at pace. And we're still 8 weeks out from the event. I was like, that's like a really, really good bit of progress. Like you couldn't do that 3 weeks ago. And she was like, oh, like that's a really good point. Like that's a good point. So it's like knowing what you're measuring for success and progression is really, really important as well.
Yeah. And just as you said, find the little bits that you might not have been looking at as well. That could be such an amazing gain.
Absolutely.
I used to always, when I first started running, I used to always go back to like my first 5K or my first 10K and then compare it. I'm like, wow, I've actually come so far. And I used to post them on my socials and people are like, oh my God, you've come so far. And it is really handy to look back, especially, if you post your runs on Strava, it's so easy just to go back and look at all your 5K distances over like however long you've been posting them on Strava. So that's so helpful just to, I guess, compare all of your runs, get some other data, do what Matt does and be a data nerd. Go through all the data, look at all the different things. Don't just look at the common things you might look at as well.
Yeah. I've definitely told this story before on the podcast, but so I'll keep it very, very quick. There was a famous Olympic weightlifting coach, and he would have all of his athletes write down every lift and every rep range. So it'd be like, let's just say back squat, 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps, all the way through to whatever. And he would go, and then amount of sets as well. And his whole philosophy was every single session, you'd be able to find 1 PB. So you'd have this huge spreadsheet of like squats from 1 rep all the way down and however many sets. He'd be like, look, for 4 sets and 17 reps, you did 3 kilos more than you did last time. And like, there's just one green square is all he wanted. And he would, like, that was his whole philosophy. So I was like, if you look deep enough, there is always progress.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Conditional formatting on a spreadsheet. Oh, love it. I love a green square.
Yeah.
So look, maybe you want to do that. Maybe you want to track all your runs manually like that on a spreadsheet, you know, what your heart rate was, what your distance was, how long you held it. I don't know, maybe if that's your thing, do that. So yeah.
That's how I started.
Really?
I used to put everything into before I had Training Peaks, I'd put everything into a spreadsheet.
Yeah, well, Training Peaks is pretty amazing for that. Like you can really go back and check out a ton of data. So that's super cool. Ben, I hope this has been really helpful for you. Ruby has asked, how many pairs of running shoes should I rotate? I only have one pair, but everyone keeps telling me to get more. Poor Ruby, she's been on my Instagram too much. No, I'm only joking. I'd never tell anyone they need more running shoes.
Yeah. It depends on how much you are running. If you're running, I'd say 3 times per week and they're spread out by more than 24 hours, one pair of shoes is fine. Once you start getting into 4 or 5 sessions per week, or you're trying to reach specific goals where you have different sessions and you need different shoes for different sessions, that'd be the only times I would say, like, even then I wouldn't say it's 100% necessary. Like I did my first Ironman prep off one pair of shoes, and that's all I wore until our race day. So like I wouldn't say it's necessary. As like what's optimal is probably a different question.
Yeah, what's optimal, and like I guess like let's be honest, it's what you can afford. If you can only afford one pair of shoes, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Try and find a pair of shoes that can do a little bit of everything. Sometimes it's good. You don't want one shoe that's only really good for one type of session, because then you're really limiting the use of that shoe. If you are wanting an excuse to buy an extra pair of shoes because you have a little bit extra money, or you're wanting to get a pair of shoes for Christmas, I think it's always good to kind of have, well, personally, I always enjoy having one shoe that I can do my easy or my long runs in, and then maybe like a faster shoe. So maybe it doesn't have to be plated, but it might just be a different type of shoe with a different heel drop in it, which is the amount of difference in the foam from the heel to the toe. You know, for me, that could be I'm wearing a Mega Blast on my easy and my long runs, and then I'm wearing, say, an Asics Magic Speed for my tempo sessions, because I find I really like that little bit of extra push. Or, if you want an excuse to buy a pair of shoes, sure, I think 2 is plenty.
Yeah.
But don't feel pressured like you need to buy an extra pair of shoes. There's tons of people out there who will say like, oh, you need to rotate your shoes. And yes, it is really good for your shoes to rotate them because the foam will last longer and you'll get more out of every shoe. But if you can't afford it, don't feel the pressure. You just do what you can do. So yeah.
Also, if you've got 24 hours in between runs, the foam will come back to full. So yeah.
And that's generally why most people will be like, you need to rotate your shoes, is because they're running every single day. Mm-hmm. But if you're like Ben, our first listener, who's running a few times a week, and that's all you want to do, then you don't need an extra pair of shoes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, look, I don't know. I think it depends on money.
Me too. I agree.
Yeah, if you've got the money, then sure. It's always great to have extra shoes to rotate, to work different muscles in your body, you know, giving your calves more of a workout depending on the heel drop. If you want to get faster and do some speed sessions, or you want to have a pair of shoes for race day, like there's so many different reasons, but yeah, not necessary. All right. I have a question from Talia. She said, hey guys, loving the podcast. Do I need to eat before a marathon? Sorry, not a marathon. That's diabolical. Sorry, let me start again. Talia said, hey guys, loving the podcast. Do I need to eat before a morning run if it's only 5Ks? I get confused because everyone says something different online, and I just want to know what to do before I head out the door.
First question is like, how long does 5Ks take you?
True.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of just having something, like, especially like a performance project. I don't even know what our percentage is at the moment. We're probably like 85% women, and the amount of those athletes who will come to me after training for 3 months and be like, just so you know, I don't eat before any session. And you're like, you told me you did. And they're just like, yeah, I was just self-conscious about it. Like there is definitely a stigma with women and nutrition. So especially when I hear a female saying, should I eat or should I not? I'm always like, just feel. Like, we can get into the nuance after that. Even if it's if 5K, have a glass of orange juice, a spoonful of honey, a banana, like something super light, one piece of toast, like it'll just be better long term. And as your running career develops, you're already establishing good habits.
Yeah, the good habits is the big one, because I know we've had questions in the past about people being like, I don't know how to fuel because now my stomach can't handle it. Or like I eat and then I feel really sick because my stomach isn't used to it. If you're, as Matt said, you just get yourself used to it. So even if it's half a banana to start with, because you can't stomach it, like I understand it is hard, but you have to train your body like any other muscle. You have to train it to get used to it. So as Matt said, start with a banana, a crumpet, super light, girls. The honey is a really easy one. Just a spoonful of honey. Super easy. It doesn't feel like it's going to slosh around in your stomach. And then once you get, more and more runs in, you start eating a little bit more, and you might jump to like a whole banana or a whole crumpet with some honey and some banana. So, it can't hurt.
You don't want to get to, a lot of the messages we get are people who are into a marathon block, and the marathon is X amount of weeks away, and they're like, should I start having breakfast? And you're like, yeah, 6 months ago. Like,
that's why when I said marathon before, I was like, that is diabolical.
Yeah.
If you're doing a marathon, you should know that by now.
Yeah. So you're setting yourself up for success long term.
Yeah, for sure. And then, it just can't hurt to fuel yourself. And I know as a woman, it can be hard to wrap your head around that. I've definitely been in that position before. But, look, as Matt said, just you're better off doing it than not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of the questions we do get asked is around that kind of fueling and what do I do because my stomach can't handle it. And we've got a whole episode on fueling, guys, as well. If you haven't listened to it, I think I'm going to have a stab in the dark and say it's episode 23.
I have 23 in my head as well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, with Lauren Nash. She's a dietitian, absolutely amazing. We ask her a bunch of questions that you guys asked us. It's really worth going back and listening to that. Hopefully, we don't do guests on this podcast, but it's really helpful to have Lauren on because she, answers the questions that we aren't trained to answer.
Yeah, I would say that's the only time we do a guest is if we get an overwhelming amount of questions in an area that we do not feel confident talking about, which nutrition is so, we use the word nuance a lot, but it's so nuanced and so individualized. And when you have someone like Lauren, she can take very complex things and make them very simple.
Yeah, it's a great episode. It's definitely one of our best performing episodes ever. So that is for a reason. You guys love it. So that's good.
Should we tell them about that project that we have launching in January, or is that?
Yes, tell them. Yeah. Go for it. Why not?
Yeah, well, since we're talking about nutrition, and only our hardcore listeners will be this deep into the podcast, we will be launching a second podcast in the Performance Media Network, which will be called Fueled. It'll be with Lauren, so it'll be a podcast all about nutrition, all about nutrition for marathons, Ironman, endurance sports in general, how to use gels, everything you could possibly want. We'll do listener questions. It'll be a very, very similar format to this podcast in terms of engaging with the audience and things. So it's something we're really, really excited for and give you guys more value and more content and help you on your endurance journey.
I know, so awesome. I cannot wait. I can't wait to listen to it. You won't be listening to me though, guys. That one will be with Matt and Lauren. I am a busy bee and I can't fit another podcast in, unfortunately.
Well, we don't need three. We don't need three hosts.
I was going to say, we don't need to hear me asking questions when we have the wonderful Lauren there to answer them as well. So that's super exciting, guys. So wait for that announcement. That'll come next year. It's really exciting. But I'll be helping behind the scenes with that one. So we can't wait for you guys to listen. But I just wanted to say, we didn't mention this before, Matt. We, during the week, end of last week, we actually had the Spotify Wrapped come out.
Oh, yeah.
Which was so cool. And you know what? That is my high for the week because that was so cool.
It was wild to see the stats.
So crazy. And I was standing in the gym on, I think it was Thursday, and all of our athletes and people on socials, obviously the Spotify Wrapped had just come out that morning. And everyone was sending through screenshots of their you guys were my number one podcast that I listened to all year and I'm a top, 1% listener. And I was just in tears at the gym because I was like, what the heck? What is this life? We've gone from having our own little podcast in our voice, notes to each other, to starting a podcast in January and we've done it every single week. And then we had something like 300 people. We were in their top podcast, which was just absolutely phenomenal. I still can't believe it. 375 top fans in Australia, or no, over the world. That one was top spot in the charts in Australia, number 6.
That's the one that's wild to me. 6.
So cool. So much closer to becoming the number 1 podcast. We had 41,000 total plays, a 2.2 thousand audience, which is awesome because when we have 15,000 listener hours, that is absolutely wild because it means you guys are listening more than once, which is so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ryan, thank you for the 700 of those downloads.
Ryan gets such a plug on this podcast,
doesn't he?
Being our number 1 listener. And he truly was, guys.
He was 0.01.
Yeah. I think he was in the top 0.5%. So,
Yeah.
like, absolutely wild. We love it. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening this year, guys. It's been so amazing to see the podcast grow. We're hoping to hit a couple of big milestones by the end of the year. Matt, do you want to let everyone know what those milestones are?
I was going to try and slide it in, but you gave me a good segue. So we're going to put out 50 episodes in our first year. That's our goal. And we would like 50,000 downloads. I think we're on like 46,000 at the moment, guys. So this episode 47, we've got 3 more episodes. So we've got 4 episodes in total to hit 50,000. So if you could share this with a friend, tell someone about it, share the YouTube, whatever, to help us hit 50K for 50 episodes in our first year, we would be very, very grateful. And then that will encourage us to come back next year.
Well, I think do you remember we hit 10,000? It was like June or July?
We hit 10,000 in late June because I think it was just before 6 months of the pod, and we started late January. And then in between June and December, we've done nearly 40,000 downloads.
That is absolutely wild. That's so crazy. And don't worry, guys, we're both very proud of ourselves, but we know, you guys should be proud of yourselves too. Thank you so much for being such amazing support for us. And yeah,
we definitely wouldn't be still recording if no one was listening. So this is just as much your achievement as it is ours.
It would be very hard to get on the mic every week if there was 5 just listeners.
Ryan's listening. Sorry, Ryan.
No, but honestly, look, 375 top fans is wild. Plus, I think we probably would have had that again where people said that, we were their second top, which again is so awesome because there are some huge podcasts out there that would take number 1 spot, and I would gladly understand why. So,
do you know that's what shocked me when I looked at a lot of the raps was where I can't think of a good example. Maybe Joe Rogan was number 3 and we were number 1. Huge podcast, but we were number 1 up against them. I was just but that's the bit that sort of wrapped my head because I listen to a lot of big podcasts and I don't really listen to smaller creators, but it was really inspiring to be cool, people choose us over people with huge production values and editors and all this stuff. We literally record this from our spare bedrooms on a webcam and a mic, and I edit it in about 20 minutes. That's our production. That's our production value, and we still crush. So
we love it, guys. No, we're so grateful. No, I think it takes him longer than 20 minutes. He's just
not much longer.
This one might take a little bit longer because there were some tech issues halfway through.
Yeah, but we do everything first take. We don't there's not a lot to edit out. In fact, I try not to edit anything out. It's just I clean up the audio a little bit, but it's not a big job. And there are podcasts that have production teams.
It's true. Look, we don't actually, there's not much you would need to edit out because we don't pause it midway through. It's always just a conversation between us.
Yep. I try not to say anything too rogue so we don't have to edit it out.
You've learnt your lesson a couple of times. Yeah, look, we're pretty lucky. So it's been great chatting with you guys, and we've got a couple more episodes to round out the year. So we're excited for you to hear those. They're really great episodes. Don't drop off now. Please stay.
Yeah, 50K. We want 50K, guys. Help us out.
We need you.
Yeah, legit.
Legit. All right, awesome. Well, this has been episode 47 of Beyond the Finish Line. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at beyondthefinishline_pod. Head over to wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow, you like, subscribe, download. And as we said, please share it with your friends. We would really, really appreciate it. Thanks again for listening.
Hooroo.
Bye.